Hello, my name is Chris and today I would like to talk to you about quitting smoking whilst dealing with pre-existing anxiety. Whether that is an actual diagnosed condition like general anxiety disorder, or if it's just you just know you've got a lot of anxiety going on, especially if that anxiety is about the quit itself. I want to talk about some of the challenges we may face when quitting smoking whilst dealing with anxiety, such as using cigarettes to self-medicate, and about what in my head I call the anxiety cycle of fear. Feeling anxious about feeling anxious. Getting anxiety about just how much anxiety we may have if we quit smoking, and anxiety about how the heck are we going to deal with that. I want to talk about those things and address how we can deal with these fears and concerns, and I also want to share with you a new little plan or strategy that I'm working on, which you may or may not find helpful to get you started on your quit. Not to necessarily plan the whole thing out, but just to get you to take that first step towards quitting. Before I do that, of course, I should remind you today is Friday the 24th. Tomorrow is Saturday, September the 25th. That means it is time for our monthly live stream hangout. It takes place at 6:30 p.m. here on YouTube. There is a link in the card above and the description below where you can set a notification or just come and hang out with us. I'll post that link on YouTube again tomorrow, maybe even tonight. And of course it will be in our Finding Freedom Facebook group, facebook.com/group/findingfreedom1. If you have ever wanted to come and ask me a question or just say hello or meet other people who are also going through their quit process, it would be lovely to see you. That's tomorrow. Today we're talking anxiety, so let's get on with the video. First things first, I want to very quickly recap a point that I made in last week's video exploring the links between anxiety and smoking. If you saw that video, you may recall that I said that more people with anxiety tend to smoke than those without anxiety, but at the same time, a lot of evidence points to an increased risk of anxiety or anxiety levels increasing due to smoking. And this is very important to remember, because if we are of the mindset that we're using cigarettes to help us with our anxiety, that's actually not happening, no matter how much we may tell ourselves it is. Any anxiety that we get rid of through smoking is created by the cravings and withdrawals from the last cigarette. I could be wrong on this. You may point to your own personal experience, but I don't know anyone really who said, I was having crippling anxiety and then I had a cigarette and I felt so calm and relaxed and at peace. I don't really think that happens. All we're doing if we continue to smoke whilst dealing with anxiety is, at best, we are prolonging our own misery. At worst, we may be exacerbating our anxiety even further. And why this is so important is if we are thinking, do you know what, I've got all this anxiety and I also want to quit smoking, but what I'll do is I'll get rid of the anxiety first and then it'll be easier to quit smoking. When actually the reverse is kind of true. If smoking is exacerbating or prolonging our anxiety, it makes sense to get rid of the cigarettes first, get them out of the way. Then our anxiety is going to go down anyway. I read something earlier this morning and it said, evidence suggests that quitting smoking can be as effective as antidepressants when it comes to dealing with anxiety and depression. Now, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't actually find that evidence, so make of that what you will. But regardless as to whether that is true or not, I absolutely believe, and I'm very confident in saying to you, that if we quit smoking, it is going to have a positive impact on our anxiety, reduce those levels. To do the opposite, to try and tackle the anxiety first and then quit smoking, it's like saying, well, I have this bathtub that's full of water and I want to empty the bathtub, but what I'm going to do is I'm first going to get a bucket and scoop out all of the water before turning the tap off. I'm going to keep doing it even though there's more water coming. What I want to say is turn the tap off. Stop adding anxiety on top of anxiety, and then the anxiety levels will go down to begin with, and any residual anxiety that we may have left is going to be easier to deal with. So yes, if we quit smoking first, it is going to help our long-term anxiety. It is going to help to reduce our long-term anxiety. But that's the long term. In the short term, we may have anxiety about having anxiety. We may have anxiety about how high our anxiety is going to be if we take cigarettes out of the equation. We may worry about how awful the process is going to be. We may be saying things to ourselves like, oh my God, if I quit smoking, I will have to manage my anxiety without cigarettes. Oh my God, if I quit smoking, I'm already anxious enough, I already feel bad enough, and then I'm going to have cravings and withdrawals, and it's going to be super intense and super uncomfortable, and I'm going to hate it, and I'm not going to be able to cope. Let's look at both of those points. If I quit smoking, I will have to deal with my anxiety without cigarettes. If you've been watching my videos for some time, I'm pretty confident you will have heard me say this, but let's switch a few simple words around. Let's stop saying if I quit smoking and start saying when I quit smoking. Let's be decisive. Let's decide, yeah, do you know what? I am, and I can, and I will quit smoking. It's no longer a question of if. There are no doubts. I'm going to quit smoking. And when I quit smoking, it isn't that I will have to manage my anxiety without cigarettes. It is that I will be able to manage my anxiety without cigarettes. I will have an opportunity to manage my anxiety and my life without cigarettes, which is possible. If you think about it, yes, more people with anxiety smoke than those that don't, but that means that there is no non-smoker on the planet that hasn't had anxiety or has anxiety. Even people who don't smoke deal with things like general anxiety disorder. And there are, people who don't smoke who have dealt and are dealing with it without cigarettes. So that proves that it is possible, because those people are no better than me and certainly no better than you. So if they can do it, we can all do it. And I think even beyond that, isn't it just better to be able to manage without cigarettes? When I quit smoking, I will be able to manage my anxiety without filling my lungs full of crap, without increasing my risk of all kinds of terrible diseases, without smelling, without spending a fortune, without, bringing myself closer to an early grave. I'll be able to manage my anxiety without doing all of that. And then, of course, there's the second point. Oh my God, if I quit smoking, it's going to be awful. I'm going to have all these cravings. It's going to be intense. I'm going to have withdrawal symptoms. I'm anxiety. I've read that some people can get more anxiety when they quit smoking, and I don't know if I can possibly handle any more anxiety. This is where the point in the video where I'd love to say to you, that's not true. You're going to be fine. You're going to breeze through it. This is easy. But I can't do that. I don't know that it's going to be easy for you. I don't know that it's going to be hard for you. The absolute reality of it is that yes, if you quit, no, sorry, I'm doing it now. When you quit smoking, it might be awful. If you can pardon my language, when you quit smoking, there is a chance that it might be fucking shit. But there's also a very good chance that it might not be. We don't know for certain until we get into it. Having been doing this for some time now, there is one thing that I am convinced of, and this is a hill that I am prepared to die on. Every single person's quit is personal and unique to them. Yes, there are commonalities. There are things that we can identify with and relate to in one another. That's why some people will watch my videos and hear me talking about my experiences and go, yeah, that resonates. But then there are also people who watch and go, that doesn't quite resonate. Because every quit is different. Some people absolutely crush their quit and it's the easiest thing. Some people have a really hard time, but do it anyway, regardless. And again, if those people who found it difficult can do it, then so can you, because, you know, I love all those people, but they're no better than you. You're every bit as worthy and deserving and capable of quitting smoking as anybody else is. You know, and it all comes down to personal circumstances. You know, what may be difficult for one person may not be difficult for another. But here's the very, very important thing. Even if quitting smoking with anxiety is difficult and uncomfortable, it is not always going to be so. Withdrawal symptoms, cravings, any increased anxiety that may come from quitting smoking, none of those things are permanent. They may pass in a matter of days. Sometimes, okay, they may pass in a matter of months. And I know that sounds awful, but, you know, again, I've been doing this for long. I speak to so many people about their quit. And I know, you know, the timelines are different for every single person. But regardless as to how long it takes, it never takes forever. These things do pass. And when they do, and we get to the other side, that's when we get the, you know, all the benefits of the anxiety being decreased. So with that in mind, I want to ask you a question. Knowing that even if quitting smoking with anxiety is really hard, that you will have a ton of resources at your disposal to make it a little bit easier. Knowing that even if it's hard, there are tools and techniques and videos and strategies to help you. Knowing all of that, is it worth experiencing a small period of discomfort, even if that discomfort feels quite intense, in the short term in order to feel better long term? If you are already feeling awful as a result of your anxiety and there is an opportunity to feel better and start making real progress on letting go of this anxiety once and for all, is a few more months of what may or may not be unpleasant. Is it worth it? Is that something you're prepared to do in order to get your long-term freedom, not only from cigarettes, but from anxiety as well? If you've just answered that question and said, no, it's not worth it, I'm just going to keep smoking and keep having anxiety, it's not worth going through it, there's probably not much more that I can say in this video that's going to be helpful to you. If I asked you that question, is it worth it, knowing that even if it's hard, there is help available? And you said, actually, Chris, yeah, because I am ready to be free from my anxiety. I deserve to be free from my anxiety. And even if it sucks, which it still may not, I need to caveat, it may not. Even if it does, it's worth it. Knowing that it will pass and knowing that I'm going to come out better on the other side. Then stick with me and we'll talk a little bit more about how we can start to navigate that process. Because even though we're going, yeah, okay, it's worth it, doesn't mean it's like, I can just do this, I can get by just on knowing that it's worth it. The first thing I want to look at in terms of preparing to quit smoking and taking the first step towards quitting smoking whilst dealing with anxiety is this concept that so many of us get into about overthinking. We're anxious, it's so easy to overthink things, and overthinking things makes us more and more and more anxious. Normally, when I work with someone to help them quit smoking, I have all these worksheets and they're available on my website and in the book. We have designing your new normal and the ideal self, and the one I forgot the name of about doing the triggers and things, like what's going to trigger me for a cigarette and how can I deal with it. We have all of those things that are available to help you, but I think if you're dealing with anxiety, it's very easy to overthink all of that stuff, to sit there with all these worksheets and go, oh my goodness, there's so much to do, there's so much to think about, there's so many possible triggers, oh my goodness, it is overwhelming. And we can sit there and try and work through something and really overthink it to the point that actually kind of makes things worse. We can get into, have I done enough? Am I doing it right? What if this happens or that happens? How can I plan for every eventual possibility? And the truth is that we can't. But of course, it's not as easy for me to just say to you, you know what you should do? And you will have never thought of this. In all your overthinking, you will have never thought of this. You know what you should do? Just stop overthinking. You go, come on, Chris. Come on, you can do better than that. Stop overthinking. Yeah, right, okay. As if I hadn't thought of that. Of course I thought about overthinking. I think about it not all the time. We said, have you ever tried to not overthink? Happens as you go, I'm overthinking, and now I'm overthinking about overthinking, and now I'm overthinking about overthinking about overthinking, and now I'm beating myself up and I'm overthinking. Whew, that's a lot, isn't it? One thing I used to do that really always helped me with overthinking, it took some practice, but I got better at it. If I was aware that I was overthinking, I would think of my thoughts as a literal runaway train. Because I think we can do that when we... I've never said the word think so many times in all my life. I think we can get on these trains of thought and those trains career off the tracks and go head first into the deepest, darkest, scariest places. Oh my goodness, this is going to be terrible. I'm not going to be able to do enough. There's so much to do, it's awful. So what I would do is, if I ever got on one of these runaway trains, I would stop and literally visualize a train, and that I was on this train and I had to pull the thing that stops the train. The brake. I had to pull the brake. Is it called a brake in a train? I'm sure it is. And pull the brake to slow the train down. Not bring it to a stop. Slow the train down. Take a deep breath and visualize myself gently getting off the train. I don't know if I made a video about that. I'm pretty sure I did. I'll have a look for it. If not, I know for a fact that it's in here. Might as well get an extra plug-in for the book today. It's in Quit Smoking and Be Happy somewhere. But of course, overthinking in itself is such a huge thing that I'm never going to be able to cram it all into this video when we've got so much other things to talk about. So what I'm going to point you to is a really excellent article that I read today, all about how we get on these trains of thought, you know, how we can't always decide which trains of thought come into our station, but we can choose which ones we're going to get on and ride into oblivion and which ones we're just going to let take off without us. And all about how metacognitive therapy can help us to just pay no attention to these thoughts and stop overthinking. It is by a doctor from Denmark. The article is in English, by the way, and I wrote her name down in my notes in front of me. Embarrassingly, I can't read my own writing, so I'm really sorry that I can't give this lady credit by name right now, but I'll put the link in the description below. If I forget to do that, which I sometimes do, bug me in the comments about it. I know for a fact I've already posted it in Finding Freedom. So, knowing that when we have anxiety, we can have this tendency to overthink things, and knowing that when we have anxiety, trying to plan anything can become so overwhelming that we end up not doing it at all. Like, okay, I've got to plan this thing, but there's so many possibilities and so many variables and so many things to do that it's too much and I just can't do it. Knowing all of that, and yet at the same time knowing that actually having some kind of a plan to at least get started with quitting smoking can be helpful. I was trying to think, well, how the heck do we do that? How the heck do we plan without getting overwhelmed by planning? How the hell do we prepare to quit smoking and still take action without it being overwhelming and without overthinking? I came up with an idea. This is very much a work in progress. This is very much like a new idea to me. So I'm still figuring it out, but I wanted to share it with you and see what you think. I'm going to call it the Rule of Three, simply because I can't think of anything better. And it's about taking all of the stuff that I would normally say to you if you were quitting smoking and condensing it down into something that is quick, simple and gentle. It's about listing, you know, this might be an issue for me, this might be a challenge, listing no more than 3 challenges, listing no more than 3 solutions, listing, that. And I'm going to talk you through this process in a few moments, but before I do, it's very important that I sort of offer some tips and advice about, if you're going to do this exercise, how to do it. The first thing is to not spend a long time on this. This is not hours of work. This is, at most, maybe an hour and a half. And if it does take longer, that's okay. And if you don't finish it, that's okay too. Because if you don't finish it, please don't set a timer, please don't set a deadline for this, but don't spend a long time on it. It's not designed for that. And if you don't get it done, you can trust that you did the parts that were most pertinent to you. You can trust that you took instinctively what you needed for this. You can trust that you've taken the bits from this that are going to help you the most. And the best way to make sure that you don't spend a long time is to do it instinctively. This is top of the head stuff. This is if I say to you, tell me 3 things about this, your thought process goes, well, there's this and this. Those are the things that you put down. Not, well, there's this, but also there may possibly be this somewhere down the line. Somewhere down the line, we're talking about what's coming off the top of your head, because you can trust that those things are the most important. And if you don't do all of it, it doesn't matter. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. If there's something you overlook, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that you want to quit smoking and that you think this might be helpful in some way. And and if you've listened to this and you think this is garbage, I'm not offended, don't use it. But if you do, it's all about, let's do this quickly and gently and not make it this huge plan. This is not designed to be a flawless plan for quitting smoking forever. This is designed to have something in place to get started with quitting smoking. This is designed to get you just far enough that barrier of resistance into actually taking action. This is about having a plan in place without spending so much time planning and preparing, never actually do anything. So I'm going to talk through this come on Chris. I'm going to talk you through this. I'm going to talk you through this in just a moment, but please keep all that in mind. This is about, do it quickly, do it top of your head, but also, if you're thinking, I actually need a bit of time, as long as it's not going to make you anxious, that's okay too. I'm going to start this exercise by inviting you to go and do something which relaxes you. Go and take a walk, go for a bath, meditate. I have my letting go guided relaxation audio. Hopefully I'll remember to put a card up there. If I don't, search my YouTube channel for letting go or let go. It's like this 20-odd minute guided relaxation that I made on my hypnotherapy course. I've had good feedback. People do tell me, yeah, I did feel more relaxed after this. So maybe that would help. I've even taken out the annoying mid-roll ad so you won't be interrupted. But do whatever works for you. Okay, I have this one thing that actually does help. Go and do that, and then come to this. In fact, yeah, pause the video, go relax, come back, and we'll start now. I want you to list 3 reasons for quitting smoking. Again, you don't have to overthink this. First 3 things that come into your head. I want to be healthier, I want to have more money, I want to get rid of my damn anxiety. There's 3 for you. If you can't think of 3, doesn't matter. Put down what you can, move on. Think of no more than 3 things that would be helpful to do in advance. There is no pressure to do them. You're not making any commitments. All you are doing is thinking of 3 things that may be helpful to do before you quit smoking. That might be, if you decided to do nicotine replacement therapy, going out and getting it. That might be, there is a certain particular issue that you're worried about, going checking out another video or speaking to someone. It may be getting fresh fruit and vegetables. It may be planning to take a day off so you can get through that first day. Whatever the case may be. Again, top of the head stuff. Here's 3 things. Can't think of 3 things. Doesn't matter. Let's move on. Think of 3 events, places, or feelings. I'm not saying think of 3 events and 3 places. Think of, I could have worded that a lot better. Think of 3 trigger situations, which can be events, places, people, things, feelings, that may trigger intense anxiety, or not even intense anxiety, just that may trigger anxiety or trigger an urge to smoke. Being in this place, speaking to this person, going to work, doing this, blah, blah, blah. Whatever those 3 things may be. And again, first 3 things that come into your mind. There is no rush. I know I'm moving through this, but that's because I'm aware this video is going to be stupid long. There is no rush, but also don't take ages on it. And I know that sounds, I wish I could word that better. But hopefully you get what I mean, right? I don't want you sitting there for like 10, 20, 30 minutes trying to think of these 3 things, but I also don't want you to think, oh shit, I've got to think of 3 things right now. It takes, This is about do it your way, do this gently. Gently. First 3 things that come to mind, those are the most important ones for you. Deviating from the rule of 3 for a moment, think of just one thing that you can do to help yourself in each of those 3 things. Just one thing for each. Well, I go to this place and it gives me anxiety and that makes me want to smoke. So I can have an exit strategy or I can just not go there. I have this regular meeting at work with this person, it just stresses me out and I always need a smoke. So maybe I can do some breathing exercises before I go to the meeting. I have all these other situations and I can go for a walk or do exercise or play music or whatever it is that you need to do. Again, don't take ages, but don't feel rushed. Just, there you go, that's something. It doesn't even matter if you do it or not right now. All that matters is that you have in your mind, if this happens, I could do this. And if that doesn't work down the line, we can just come back to this and change it for something that does. If you have quit smoking in the past, think of no more than 3 things that went well. Well, I used nicotine replacement therapy instead of going cold turkey and that went well, or I went cold turkey rather than using Champix and that went well. I handled this situation without a cigarette. I found that eating a certain food or snack helped. I found this helped. 3 things. And again, if you can't think of 3 things, it doesn't matter. This is not a test, it's not an assignment. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to quit smoking if you don't do every single thing. Like I said before, it's about picking out what is most pertinent and relevant and important to you. So 3 things that went well, and then finally, 3 things you are grateful for today. And it doesn't matter how big or how small they are. I'm grateful for my bottle of water. I'm grateful for having a roof over my head, clothes on my back. There you go, 3 things. And that took me like 20 seconds. When you've done any or all of this as much as you want, finish off with more relaxation. You can go and have another bath and do the exact same thing, or if there's something else that you think, actually, yeah, I'm going to try that. You may go for a walk to relax to begin with and then do my guided relaxation to end. If you have done all that, you've got a plan in place to get started. It was quick, it was gentle, it was designed not to overwhelm you, but now you've got this thing written down that shows you, actually, yeah, I could get started. I can figure the rest out along the way. All we're concerned about is taking that first step. The first step is sometimes the hardest, but it can be done. I'm going to tweak and fine-tune this. There's so much more to talk about in terms of quitting smoking with anxiety, but I hope this is a start and I hope this has been helpful in some way. If it has been helpful and you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I've got so many more videos like this one, so consider subscribing. Again, my book is called Quit Smoking and Be Happy, available in Amazon and print and ebook form. Our group is facebook.com/groups/findingfreedom1, and again our live stream, if you want to come and hang out with me for a bit, is tomorrow, Saturday, September 25th at 6:30 PM UK time. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.